In the 16th century, the world stood divided, East and West, Christendom and Islam, empires rising and falling. But at the heart of this turbulent age, one man rose above the chaos. His name was Suleiman. They called him the Magnificent. Suleiman was more than a ruler. He was a conqueror whose armies shook the foundations of Europe. A reformer who brought justice to millions. A patron of art who sparked a cultural renaissance. And a man whose love story defied tradition and changed the course of history. But how did a young prince from the Ottoman frontier become one of the most powerful figures the world has ever known? How did he shape an empire that spanned 3 continents and left a legacy that endures to this day? This is the story of Suleiman the Magnificent, the Sultan who redefined power, justice, and greatness. And his journey begins here. Our story begins in 1494, in the city of Trabzon, on the shores of the Black Sea. It was here that Suleiman, the only son of Sultan Selim I and Hafsa Sultan, was born. The Ottoman Empire was already a rising superpower, but its future was uncertain. From a young age, Suleiman was groomed for leadership. Unlike many rulers of his time, he wasn't just trained in warfare. He was educated in philosophy, science, and the arts. He studied the Quran, the works of Persian poets, and the writings of ancient Greek philosophers. Suleiman's childhood wasn't one of luxury alone. His father, Selim the Grim, was a stern and ruthless ruler who believed in discipline above all else. Selim's brutal campaigns to secure the empire's borders left a lasting impression on young Suleiman. He learned that power was fragile and that only through strength and wisdom could an empire endure. When Suleiman was just 26 years old, his father died suddenly, leaving him to inherit the throne. The year was 1520, and the world watched as the young sultan ascended to power. Would he follow in his father's footsteps as a conqueror? Or would he chart a new course for the empire? The answer would soon become clear. Suleiman's reign began with a declaration of power. In 1521, he turned his attention to Belgrade, a fortress city that had long been a thorn in the side of the Ottomans. Within months, Suleiman's forces captured the city, opening the gates to Europe. But it was in 1522 that Suleiman faced his first great test, the Siege of Rhodes. The island of Rhodes was home to the Knights of St. John, a Christian military order that had resisted Ottoman rule for decades. Suleiman's navy, commanded by the brilliant Admiral Barbarossa, launched a massive assault. For months, the knights held out, but Suleiman's determination and superior strategy ultimately prevailed. The Knights of St. John surrendered, and Rhodes became part of the Ottoman Empire. This victory was just the beginning. In 1526, Suleiman led his army into Hungary, where he faced the forces of King Louis II at the Battle of Mohács. The battle was swift and brutal. The Hungarian army, outnumbered and outmaneuvered, was utterly destroyed. King Louis himself drowned while fleeing the battlefield. With this victory, Suleiman secured Hungary as a vassal state and cemented his reputation as one of the greatest military leaders of his time. But Suleiman's ambitions didn't stop there. In 1529, he marched his army to the gates of Vienna, the capital of the Habsburg Empire. The Siege of Vienna was a turning point in European history. Though the city withstood the assault, the message was clear: the Ottoman Empire was a force to be reckoned with. Under Suleiman's leadership, the Ottoman Empire reached its zenith, stretching from the Arabian Peninsula to North Africa, from the Balkans to the Persian Gulf. But Suleiman wasn't just a conqueror. He was a visionary who understood that true power came not from the sword alone, but from the ability to govern. Suleiman's title, the lawgiver, was not given lightly. During his reign, he implemented sweeping legal reforms that transformed the Ottoman Empire into a model of governance. At the heart of Suleiman's reforms was a commitment to justice. He believed that a ruler's duty was to serve the people, not to oppress them. His legal code, known as the Canon, brought order to a diverse empire of Muslims, Christians, and Jews. Suleiman's reforms extended to the economy as well. He standardized taxation, reduced corruption, and promoted trade. Under his rule, the Ottoman Empire became a hub of commerce, connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa. But Suleiman's vision of justice went beyond the practical. He saw himself as a servant of God, entrusted with the responsibility of creating a just and harmonious society. His reforms were not just about laws, they were about creating a legacy of fairness and stability that would endure for generations. While Suleiman's armies expanded his empire, his heart turned to art, culture, and architecture. His reign marked the peak of the Ottoman Renaissance, a period of unparalleled creativity and innovation. One of Suleiman's greatest contributions to this golden age was his patronage of Mimar Sinan, the empire's chief architect. Together they built some of the most iconic structures in the world, including the Süleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul. This architectural masterpiece symbolized the power, beauty, and spirituality of the Ottoman Empire. Suleiman himself was a poet, writing under the pen name Mehibi. His verses expressed his love for God, his people, and his beloved Hürrem Sultan. Suleiman's court became a center of learning and culture, attracting scholars, artists, and thinkers from across the empire. Under Suleiman, the Ottoman Empire wasn't just a political and military power, it became a cultural beacon, a bridge between East and West, and a testament to the heights that human creativity could achieve. But behind the grandeur of Suleiman's reign was a man of deep emotions, passions, and struggles. His love for Hürrem Sultan, a former slave, was legendary. Hürrem became not only his wife but his most trusted confidant, breaking centuries of tradition. However, Suleiman's personal life was also marked by tragedy. The execution of his eldest son, Prince Mustafa, remains one of the most controversial episodes of his reign. Mustafa, beloved by the army and the people, was accused of treason. Whether the accusations were true or the result of palace intrigue, Suleiman's decision to have him executed haunted him for the rest of his life. Even the most powerful rulers are not immune to the pain of love, betrayal, and loss. Suleiman's humanity is what makes his story so compelling. It's the story of a man who carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders, but who also felt the joys and sorrows of life as deeply as any of us. When Suleiman died in 1566, he left behind an empire that was the largest and most powerful in the world. His reign is remembered as a golden age of prosperity, justice, and culture. He showed that power is not an end in itself, but a means to serve the people and create a better world. Today, Suleiman the Magnificent is remembered not just as a conqueror, but as a visionary who dared to dream of a world united by justice, culture, and humanity. His story is a reminder that greatness is not measured by the size of an empire, but by the impact a leader leaves on the hearts and minds of their people. If you were inspired by the life of Suleiman the Magnificent, share this story with the world. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more incredible tales of history's greatest leaders. Together, let's keep the legacy of Suleiman alive.